Dosage wise, there's a fine line between not enough and just a bit too much. Real. Someone said mushrooms in Oaxaca were incredible experience. Literally saw a dragon. Tight, bro. Took some mushrooms with my friends and nothing happened. That happens. Maybe they were bunk. Maybe your brain was like, no. I don't know. Have you done peyote? How was it? Last natural psychedelic I've done. I've never done peyote either. I would really like to, but yeah, I have not done it. You ever done a heroic dose of anything? Yeah, so I've done like, barely mushrooms are the ones that I've taken like huge doses. I mean, I've done ayahuasca, but like I've done like a pretty, you know, I mean, I was a dose, like it was a full thing, but I tend to take a smaller cup with it. But it's still like a full dose of it. But heroic, I mean, I guess it would be, yeah, like mushrooms. I've taken large amounts of mushrooms, and large amounts of MDMA when it comes to the therapies. But I don't do that like I was just saying, in a recreational sense. Because I just don't want to do that. I don't want to melt my face off. I just don't, unless I'm like going and doing some like deep dive work. Someone, mushrooms, I thought I couldn't breathe, collapsed, caught breath, then watch organs spill out of stomach. That's wild. I feel like everyone should try them once and also want everyone to stop talking about them. I mean, I get that, right? What they're saying, just because like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Except I'm the asshole that's still talking about them. But I just wanted to talk about shit that I'm into, and that's how I can do this and engage this if I'm doing something that I'm like interested in, or else it's super boring and I don't want to do it and I don't want to make content. So, and I am very into psychedelics, so I'm another asshole on the internet talking about psychedelics. Have ever had truffles in Amsterdam? How do they differ from mushrooms for you? I've never done them, so. I have a lot of anxiety. I feel like taking psychedelics may have a higher chance of to be a bad trip. You know, for some people it's really helpful, some people it's not. I think it'd be nice, I don't know. I think it's always nice to have like an abort drug of like Xanax or something. Sorry that I'm telling you that, but you kind of, something to kind of balance the intensity of it. Personally, I don't really need to do that at this point, but I think it's good, especially if, you know, it's just time to abort and it's not working. At this point for me, a bad trip can kind of teach me something, or I can work myself out of it. But that is someone who's done quite a bit of it. And also, like, when you do medicine journey stuff, like, it's not easy. It's not a fun time. It can be beautiful and whatever, but for me, it's not an easy experience necessarily. Not always, at least. So, would you trip with fans? No, I just really, you know, maybe like a micro, but no, I like to really be around people like I know and trust and whatever. It's just like kind of what I need with it. But love you guys, it's not personal. It's just we don't know each other like that. Best experience on LSD. My ex-girlfriend and I sitting, I mean, I've had a lot, but this one's pretty great. It was my ex-girlfriend and I sitting in a cabin trying to open a packet of pineapple up that we couldn't, and laughing hysterically. I've done a lot of acid at like, hot springs and stuff like that, and that was at one, and that's really fun, special. Hi bro, he is like on it. He needs to be pet. Do you prefer chocolate mix or raw? I prefer raw. I just like eating the straight mushroom. I don't like the fucking chocolates. It makes it worse for me. Do you ever get gangbanged while on sex? No, that's absolutely not interesting to me. I don't want to do that. People saying best sex on psychedelics. I've definitely had really magical sex on psychedelics. You're at a crossroads in life, smoke some DMT. It'll remove your ego and give you clear answers. Definitely, there's a voice, there's a message. Do unresolved emotions surface during this experience? They can, for sure. Yeah, a lot, you know, a lot of like your guards are gone, and it will show you that you're like, oh, this thing that I've been ignoring or whatever, or this fear, or this thing that I didn't even know was going on, like, here we are, you know, for sure. This person said, I took mushrooms at a furry convention and took an acid at a wildlife safari. Good times. That's fun. What's your favorite species of mushroom? Oh, I don't really have it. I've done like several. I don't have a favorite. I like golden teachers. I like penis envy. With mushrooms, muddle them and squeeze organic lemon on them for sure. That makes it hit faster if I remember correctly. Someone said, don't do them at night if you're trying to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not sleepy time. Except I know one bitch that won't fall asleep on mushrooms. It's just weird. I was speaking of mushrooms at 19 and my parents had me catch a frog that got inside. So scary. So funny. Does DMT actually give a life-changing experience? You know, for me, was it life-changing? No. Was it helpful and useful? Yeah. And was it good information? Yes. You know, did it change my life? No. But, and you know, I've also not used it a whole bunch. I think if you use it in ceremony and that kind of stuff, for sure. Do you use them exclusively to party or as a part of mental health care? I mostly use them as mental health care. I do microdose to like medium, not a macro dose, but not a microdose, kind of a little bit more in between that, like socially. But everything, yeah, I pretty much just use them in a like mental health and like spiritual practice. I love people are just listing their preferred ones. Do mushrooms really give you a great experience? It all depends. So is Bufo ethical? I don't love it. It's also like part of ancient people's way of doing things. I know that they make synthetic stuff now. I think I would take the synthetic version at this point. Just because I don't want to do that, especially when there's other psychedelics. I don't want to do that to the poor little guy. So, yeah, I'm not gonna like go and shit on like someone like old tradition, but I personally, who am not part of like that lineage, I'll take the synthetic version. What are your biggest pet peeves and with public misconceptions about them? I think for me that it is like a cure for all and that's for everybody. Even though I think a lot of people should do it, I think a lot of people also shouldn't. And then it's just not for everyone, or it's not the right time in everybody's life. I think the whole idea that like, you know, if you have someone like caring for you, they're not super dangerous. Like, you know, it's, and when you're being like mindful and careful. So there's this like, definitely like, there's a lot of scare and it can be scary. So it's weird. I think there's both like, there is potential to be like scary, but it's not always a promise. And I think like a lot of people miss out because of the fear, but at the same time, like, yeah, I don't think it's for everyone. And that it's like a fix all. Because I don't think it is. And it's like changed my life, like medicine work and like doing like psychedelic assisted therapy has like changed my life, but it has not been this like real easy thing that's just cleared everything up. It's been like a lot of fucking work, and it's just like a tool that helps me, and it's helped me make a lot of good changes and choices. And sometimes it's hard, and I definitely found myself being like, is this doing anything? And then like when I like step back and look at the broader picture, I'm like, whoa, I've like really changed a lot, and definitely not where I was when I first started. As someone who has only done mushrooms once, how does it compare to acid? Mushrooms are shorter. That's really different. There's like a different vibe and feel to it. But really the biggest thing for me is that it's a shorter experience. And for me, it feels a little bit, there's a warmer aspect to it, whatever the fuck that means. Someone said, last time I took mushrooms was Christmas by myself, and that was the most peaceful trip ever. That's really cute. Do you like how they're used in the medical field now? Yeah, I mean, I think there's some people doing like not so great things in the psychedelic like renaissance. And also think it's great that a lot of people are acknowledging what they can do for people. Someone was like, I took acid when I was 17, didn't really know what to do till I fell asleep and had a dream where I woke up in. Okay. The most amount of mushrooms you've taken in one dose, probably 6 or 7 grams. What's a good amount of shrooms to take for a first timer? I mean, I'd go small. You know, if you have 1 mushroom, just taking 1, depending on how big it is too. You can also look up doses online. I bet there's a Reddit just for that. My partner has a tumor and this year has been hard. We're taking shrooms on Xmas. Oh, I hope you guys have a sweet and like really nice and healing kind of trip. Life's fucking hard. Yes, this person said they're fun, but people put too much hope on the betterment they provide. Shit takes work. I agree with that. We're like, I think it really can, and it has helped me, but it is work. It's, people do kind of act like it's like, oh, a simple thing, or like not, like you have to, there's integration matters. There's a lot of things that goes into play with doing like your own mental and spiritual work with psychedelics, and people do act like it's just this like thing that's just like that or whatever. And I think it's annoying. I think people do that all the time. You know, like when weed became thing, people were like, it cures cancer and it's blah, 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 and it does this. And it's like, well, no. And I think people are kind of do the same thing. People want to pitch things at this, like, I don't know why human beings always need to make like one thing like all good, all bad, and just really like fit into these boxes and this kind of like, I don't know, we don't like nuance as human beings. And so it gets annoying when we get into any subject. If you can dig deep, you're just like, oh. How many is too many mushrooms to go out in Vegas? Oof, I don't know. That's a fear and loathing situation. I would say small amount. I once had a full conversation with a pine tree while on mushrooms in college. It was 10 degrees outside, -10 outside. Rough. Someone said, I haven't, man, let me tell you, it gives you a different perspective on this thing called life, for sure. Someone says, does it work? And if I have suppressed trauma, will I have a sanity-rending bad trip? Can't tell you that. Yeah, maybe, or not. Or maybe it'll bring it up and you'll do some work and it'll be magical. There's not, you know, there's variables that you can control. If you know, I think for people who have like trauma and stuff like that, I think the idea of doing it with like a guide in like a more controlled setting is a good idea. Especially if you're like trying to work on stuff or you have shit that you're kind of worried about, like you can possibly address that stuff in a way that's like more controlled and less terrifying. Psilocybin should be the focus of all current M8 mental health and trauma assistance. I think definitely for some, I don't think psilocybin is going to help someone with schizophrenia. You know, so I don't think it's all trauma, like mental health stuff, but like definitely, right, there's all these studies about psilocybin and MDMA with people with trauma and depression and like that kind of thing. So I do think it can be really helpful. Someone said, I did mushrooms on perks in a moving car and ended up overdosing also in my trip. I thought I was getting chased. Buddy, you don't have to do it like that, folks. Someone said, I seem to be the calmest person on mushrooms. Is that weird? No, it's not weird. What's your view on the stoned ape theory? I think it's kind of silly and kind of bullshit. It's like cute, but I don't know. I doubt it. Is there a reaction when you come down? Because a psych stuff seems to be nausea-inducing. I don't get nausea on psychedelics really, except obviously ayahuasca. For me, come down off of psychedelics is not hard. It just feels like I'm slowly floating out of it. And it's not the same as like, say, the come down of like other substances. Yeah. Someone said, in 10th grade, 1997, I dropped acid, got a flu shots with my parents, and then felt like underage toxin. Someone said, mushrooms have always amplified how I felt in the moment. Best high I've ever felt. Someone said, I had about 80 LSD experiences, but I can tell you that my last ended up with huge psychosis. Be careful. Yeah, for sure. that is a thing. That is definitely a thing. I definitely think one should be careful with psychedelics, and that they can be like, you know, they can cause damage and they can be traumatic if not done properly. And definitely, I think if you have certain conditions. We talked about all this. I have a cat just chilling with me this entire time. Someone said, my favorite dose of mushrooms made me feel like all my anxiety and depression went away. That's fucking rad. I've definitely like taken mushrooms and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be like. Like, this is who I am actually. Taking all the like ego, trauma, and baggage out. And like, this is me at my like, purest like form. A small batch on an empty stomach for mushrooms helps have an intention. I also, when I do the medicine journeys, it's on an empty stomach. Someone said, did shrooms at a trap house. Terrible idea. Acid on a San Diego beach. Great idea. Agreed. Setting is everything. Oh, welcome to the party. What did you try? Any plans to continue? Oh, I don't need to be welcomed to the party. Yeah, since I was like a teenager. But yeah, I still continue to do psychedelic therapy and use it in that way. Someone said, on LSD, I saw my dog transforming into a demon. Oh, damn. What was the most LSD you ever done? How was that trip? I think the most I've ever done was like 3 hits. I'm good off of like big doses of LSD. I do not want to be that high. And especially not socially. And I don't do LSD at all in a therapeutic sense. So it's probably something I maybe experiment with like once a year or something. But I like it. But I don't want to be that high. I'm good. Someone said, I've wanted to get back into them as an adult, respecting the trip instead of simply getting fucked up. Agreed. It's really different. It's so different. And I do think like psychedelics as an adult were way more cooler than as a kid. Someone was like, shrooms can be really unpredictable and strong depending on the person, can be scary. For sure. It can be. What dose of a mushroom would you recommend for a total novice? I mean, I'm not a doser. I kind of know what my stuff is, but I'm not at all someone that you can ask. I'd say just going smaller, and you can definitely find dosage online. Someone said, stared at a doorknob for a while and took it apart to figure out the mechanics. Someone asked me if I had any tips to fight nausea from mushrooms. Tips to fight nausea on mushrooms. I don't get nauseous on mushrooms, so I'm sorry, I'm not helpful. But maybe taking a medication like Zofran, which is like a strong anti-nausal that they give people with like cancer or on like intense like drugs and that kind of thing. Someone said MDMA therapy is the only thing that works for my medical trauma, PTSD. Word. I get it. Did you get an epiphany or anything and also apply it to your life? Yes, I've had a lot of epiphanies on psychedelics, and I do try to apply what I've learned in my life. Someone asked, do you ever find yourself needing to take tolerant breaks in between? I don't do them enough to need tolerance breaks. So I trip. Like right now I've been doing a medicine journey every like 4 to 6 weeks, but that's like plenty of time because I'm kind of like going into a deep dive. But yeah, no, I don't use them enough to need to take breaks. So how many different psychedelics have you tried? I guess DMT, ayahuasca, mushrooms, and LSD. And 2CB. So I've tried 5 different psychedelics. There's definitely more out there that I haven't done. Someone said highly recommend Trolls 3 when vibing. And said they're the best. Someone said they're the best. I feel like if you can do them once or twice a year, it elevates your life. I think it can, for sure. People are like, can be done therapeutically if done properly, and setting is important, for sure. Someone said, I like to take mushrooms and be locked in a cage. It's fun to be stuck in as my mind races. Are there any side effects? Yes, some people get nausea. Some people can get like paranoid. You get hallucinations, euphoria. There's a lot of different body tingling. Body can feel really good. Stomach cramping can happen. It just depends on what your body is like and how it responds. Do you have someone guide you while you're using them? Yes and no. If I do them recreationally, no. And if I do them in a medicine setting, which is mostly when I do them, yes. So I usually have a guide. And yeah. What was your first experience on psychedelics? That's the last question. I don't really remember the first exact time. It was mushrooms. I think I took it with 2 other friends in my bedroom, and like we just hung out and vibed and played with my cat and had a good time, and like played with our hands. I think we were all like, ooh. But it's good. I don't know. I was young. Anyways, thank you for doing this and watching. Bye.